For June the 20th, 2025, we talk about the Labyrinth of the Demon King, a shitload of Steam NextFest demos, and much more. Welcome to level 547. My name is Kaye Ross.
I'm Jala.
I'm Ben Merkel.
And you're listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. Welcome back. We are rocking it 3-style this time with what we call the efficient crew. I've not actually checked to see what the average length of all the different combinations, like the average episode length of all the different combinations. It just feels like when the three of us are together, we say no nonsense.
We mean business.
We do in fact mean business. And also, all three of us were here last week.
Well, I just want to say we might mean business, but I have a lot of NextFest demos to talk about.
You do.
So
Yeah.
Let's keep this banter short, folks.
Right. Yeah. Who has stuff they want to talk about? Ben, I'm going to volunteer you.
Yeah, I shared this in the backstage. Went to protests over the weekend.
Sweet.
But because I don't like crowds, or just because of the circumstances, we were going north anyway. I was doing the reverse commute where the main organization for the Seattle protests was in Cap Hill, which is the neighborhood I live in.
Okay.
But we were going north, so we ended up going to like a shoreline protest, which was like a smaller one, kind of like an older, hippier crowd. Mm-hmm. And so I shared a picture in the backstage of like the number of people entering the station where I live.
Oh, dang.
It was the most number of people that I had seen like in that station my entirety of living here. So it was pretty nuts.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So there was a good turnout. So that was good. And then it was, there were people with like cleansing sage. It was very chill, very hippie-ish. Yeah. So it was a good time. No, aggression or no any of that. So that was, I was thankful for that. And then we went to an arts festival. So nice little cherry on top. So yeah.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. I didn't see much of anything that happened out of Seattle. So I assumed that it went well.
Yeah. I was going to say, in the opposite direction, I was seeing posts of Cincinnati, both the march like on UC's campus and like walking down towards Ludlow. So that looked like huge numbers.
Yeah.
So.
No, yeah. That's you love to see it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Jala, how about you?
Yeah, so I didn't go to any protests because I had my hands full doing caretaker stuff, but I did slip away. I was very busy with that all on Saturday, but then on Sunday evening, after taking care of my folks, Dave and I slipped away to a concert over at the little rock bar that's like 15 minutes from my house. So we got to go see Rivers of Nile, and there were 4 opening bands. So we were there for a long time. Mm-hmm. But we sadly, we didn't like most of the opening bands so much. They were okay. They weren't terrible, except one of them. One of them was absolutely terrible. But then we did find Holy Fun, which is kind of like a shoegaze, post-rock, post-metal kind of thing, very vibe music. And we liked that. And then Rivers of Nile themselves, we liked them as well.
I got to attempt to explain to you what post-rock is.
Because I'm like, I don't know what any of these words mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, sure. I mean, I know that I like the thing, but, tell me what I'm supposed to be hearing that is post-rock in this.
So Jala liked Mogwai, but not so much into Godspeed You Black Emperor. So...
The one,
yeah,
the one, just not some of the other ones. So,
yeah.
Kind of hit or miss, I think, depending. And I told you about it. It's partially because I'm usually multitasking everything. So it's like my capacity to just focus on music and not do anything is like very little, very, very rare that this happens.
Yeah,
me getting into vinyl is kind of like my attempt to have time sometimes to sit and just listen to music. So,
Yeah.
You
You also don't have to like every band that I send to you.
No, but like I do like a lot of different types of music.
Yeah,
So, like I know I've been going to mostly metal shows, but
Oh,
that
yeah.
doesn't mean anything. So yeah, there's that, and also lots and lots of NextFest. I streamed a bunch of them on Saturday for a bit while my folks were taking a nap, and then like I played more of them after, like around other things after one thing or another, basically for the rest of the weekend. So I've got a lot of those to talk about. Kay, how about you? What have you been up to?
I've actually been busy. Normally, I don't leave the house for weeks, and this past week I left the house twice to go do stuff. So I'll do the most recent one first. I went to my first Pride as an out trans person down in Columbus, and it was neat. All I did was I just went down there and walked around. But it was just fun to kind of soak in the vibe.
Right.
The Columbus No Kings protest thing was the day before, which I think is probably wise because it would have overlapped with the parade route. But there was a ton of that energy and a ton of that signage at Pride, at the parade, and the festival itself. But yeah, I just I walked like a mile up the parade route and then kind of around the park where the festival was, and it was neat.
That's awesome.
Yeah, there was a No Kings protest here in Houston also. Not that we could have gone because, like if anything happened to have occurred, then that would jeopardize stuff with my folks. But apparently it was, quote unquote, more than 15K people, which is not very much of Houston when you consider that Houston is like the third largest city in the U.S.
It's still a lot of people in wherever, like in the space where they held it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, for Texas, especially, I guess. But anyway, so yeah, like I was worried. I was concerned about folks like hostilities happening to protesters and stuff at the event as well. So
it was fun because both that and the other thing I'm going to talk about were the first times I had like gone out in public with makeup on too. So like that was fun to fun to do. Felt good being around people who weren't gonna, give me trouble for it. I also got a lot of compliments on the shirt that I wore. People who are aware of like a bunch of memes about this stuff. I wore the Pride Month demon shirt, whereas it's the word Pride Month over and over, but at each time the DE and the MON, could take on like the trans colors, and I was most of the way there before I realized, people might think that I'm wearing this seriously. Like my entire exposure to it is like, that's a thing that evangelicals made to, say that we're awful, but actually it makes us look real cool.
Right.
And I was like, okay.
And like all the trans folks think it's hilarious and great. So.
Yeah. So I got lots of like fist bumps and people, people complimenting on it. So it was a good choice. On Wednesday, I went to a concert for the first time in a very long time. It was also down in Columbus. It was a Laura Jane Grace concert. Laura Jane Grace, a trans punk artist, used to be / still is. They're not like officially broken up or anything. The front woman of Against Me. Band that
just from the name of the musician, I'm like, that's a lesbian band, I'm sure. Like it just sounds
like way back when before she came out, like it was like just a real not bro-y, but like real duty kind of like anarchist punk kind of outfit. But like so I first heard them in their like 2007, like the first breakthrough album they had. Just a new wave is what it's called. But like she was putting stuff in her lyrics, like, hinting to her being trans, like all the way up to the time where she came out, like including in this song that I listened to over and over again. Way back in the day, called The Ocean, where the second verse is, if I could have chosen, I would have been born a woman. My mother once told me she would have named me Laura. And people still acted surprised when she came out. But like, So she put out this album in 2014 called Transgender Dysphoria Blues, and I was a big fan of the band, but I was like, I can't listen to that because that's gonna just be too many feelings. So I didn't listen to them for a long time until I started to become more like, at peace with myself, and then just like got way into her post-transition stuff. So it was real cool to be like in a room where she's doing a bunch of her own really good solo stuff, but also like these old songs, including the one that I just read, like, lyrics from, and here I am just like fully into it, singing along, like in a, room full of other people like me singing along. It was a really, really cool feeling.
Oh, that's awesome. That sounds absolutely magical. Like that's a precious feeling that you don't get very often from anything, anywhere, regardless of what your situation is usually.
Yeah.
So that sounds like you had a fantastic time. I'm glad to hear it.
I did. Shortly before I came out, we were recording a Quack Stack. The show that Gary and I do with Gwen, where we just, part of it is just talking about like media recommendation stuff we've been into. And they didn't know that I was going to be coming out imminently. And legitimately the only new thing that I had to bring to talk about was Laura Jane Grace and Against Me. So I bring it up and I'm talking about this music, and both of them, like their heads, like the gears are grinding and smoke is coming out because they're like, what the fuck are you doing? So that was fun. I knew that I was going to be putting out the announcement like a couple days after that came out. So, yeah. So it was a good time. I had a lot of fun at the concert. It was a neat venue. The opener bands are really good. Yeah. So
awesome.
That's sweet.
Yeah. I think we should talk about video games.
Yes.
Let's do it. To do that, we need to do the regular kind of show, what with the grind, the multiplayer, and the end boss. And why don't we get started with The Grind, where we talk about the games we have been playing over the past period of time or so. How do we want to do this? Jala, you have those demos. Do we want to do
10 of them?
Yeah. So why don't Ben and I do ours first?
Yeah.
And
go for it.
And then we can kind of gauge the next how much detail in those we want to go on. Yeah. How about that?
Okay.
Sure. Let's see. I've got one that I can talk about briefly because it is relatively new. It is a game that I have been streaming called Labyrinth of the Demon King.
I get to hear you scream a lot or get frustrated. When I pop in every once in a while for a little bit, and then I'm like, okay, I gotta go. But
yeah, it's it is. I wish I was enjoying it more, Jala. Ben, have you tuned in to me playing this at all?
I have not.
Okay.
I can imagine from past games that you've played the experience, but break it down for me.
Yeah. So this is a very difficult game. This is new in a long kind of like recent spate of Kingsfield alikes, kind of a PlayStation throwback to FromSoft's first-person RPG Kingsfield, to that kind of series. Like Lunacid was kind of the previous like big example of this, and this is much like that, except that it takes place in kind of a medieval Japan demon world kind of thing. You're a samurai who is going after this demon king who wiped out your basically your lord and all of his men. You're going to him for revenge, and to do that you are following him into his realm, this labyrinth, which is made up of these 4 towers that are full of demon monsters and stuff. Pretty simple premise on that. Go ahead, Ben.
I was just chuckling. It's like Japanese Doom, kind of, or
it's
cool.
It's slow. It's slow paced. Is the thing about it? So it's not specifically doomy.
Okay.
Yeah. So you do melee attacks from first person. You can get a bow. It is very slow paced to the point of being a little bit clunky. Like I've done 3 or 4 sessions of it, and haven't quite gotten the rhythm of the combat. But it is really built around reading the enemy's attacks, including like seemingly very arbitrary delayed hits. And blocking, like doing a parry and then doing a counterattack. Both you and the enemy also get access to strong attacks that will break guard, and kicks that will bypass guard, and give you a little bit of distance. All of that would be fine, except you get into some of the other stuff that feels like it is a tuning or systems problem. The big thing is the fact that out of the box you have no stamina, and your stamina takes a very long time to recover.
I have a question. Is it like an RPG setup where you can allocate points to it, or does it just like naturally give you a few when you level up, or are you just stuck?
It's a very simplified. Ben, I am so happy that you asked me that, because that does go into the to the next main complaint. It is a very simplified level up system. When you level up, you can decide to put points into your HP or into your stamina. It's a choice of one or the other. The problem is you don't get experience by fighting. You get experience at set points where you find a special incense that you can burn an offering just in the world. So I've gotten like 2 level ups in the 6 hours that I've played.
Is that the natural pacing, or is it just hard to find these things?
I went and looked at a guide on Steam and did a Control F for that item, and I think that there was only one that I missed. That was well hidden. Yeah. So what it is doing is you are going and doing these fights, which are incredibly kind of like high stakes. There's a fixed number of healing items that you can get. They drop only very rarely. Enemies will sometimes drop money, but you don't always have access to the shop in the first kind of dungeon. You know, it's not until after that you get like consistent access to the shop. And so when you're making these runs, it's expecting you to die, but the health recharge is not like an Estus system where it will recover and you have a certain number of healing charges per run. Any healing item that you use draws down and is gone forever.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
That sounds punishing.
Very, very punishing. And so I found myself just like, well, there's no sense in me healing because I have no idea what's going to be coming next. You know, you take 2-3 hits and you're down to basically nothing. And it's like, well, this run is scotched. I am not going to be able to salvage it or get anything useful if I end up healing. I'm just going to die and then try and rerun this. That's in addition to lots of things doing damage over time, kind of status effects to you as well.
So does it, in practice, like you just never use the healing system because you always want to save it for later?
Pretty much, yeah. Or it never feels a lot like it's going to be worth it to use it. So, yeah, I've put time into it, and I like got through the first of the 4 dungeons, which weirdly, based on the walkthrough that I looked at, puts me like halfway through the game. I want to continue.
Math does not check out.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just a really, really huge first dungeon. But it is definitely fighting me every single step of the way.
And it sounds like it's not getting easier quickly enough. Or?
I don't know. I have not seen the nature of the threats in the second and third dungeon, so I can't tell you if it's going to be appreciably easier, as I have passed the major thing, but
I don't think people realize like how much of a public service you do streaming some of these games, and like you bear the frustration so that others do not have to.
Well, and what's funny about it is like a part of the reason I haven't been able to watch is because Dave wants to play it.
Oh, have you?
Like, he has it and he wants to play it.
Okay.
And so I'm like, okay, well, I can't be watching it too much because then,
Right.
Like that he's in the same room as me. So, I mean, it's hard for him to just ignore it. So, yeah. But,
well,
anyhow.
I hope he enjoys it more than I am. It's just one of these things where it would really, like, if the stamina recovered a little bit faster, if there was, some kind of like timed or gated drop on the level up stuff, like, there are just a lot of decisions that make it so that you can't, like, it just, I do not feel like I'm making progress in it, and I didn't for a long time. Yeah.
So are you gonna pause? Or are you gonna keep seeing it through on stream?
I'm gonna keep trying it because I beat that first dungeon, which is good. And it's not like it's joyless. So like the aesthetic on this is really good. Like it is kind of those chunkety PS1 style graphics, which I enjoy. It's a little bit too monochrome. Like like everything is pretty brown, and sometimes it's pretty hard to see like items against the background or whatever. But the monster design is really cool. And the way that it handles cutscenes is this. Anybody who has played Siren for the PS2 or played Silent Hill 4 and seen the cutscenes where the ghosts are introduced, whenever those pop up, kind of this like very like washed out, juddery film, kind of like handheld camera kind of vibe. Like those are all really cool and fun to look at. And I'm curious to see what other monster designs are brought in, because I kind of like stepped foot into some of the later dungeons. So like, I want to see more, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much more resistance I'm going to have to get before I decide to cut bait.
What are the monsters like? Because like just the image search, it looks like mostly skeletons, but
there are skeletons. They're like kind of like rubbery demon looking guys that have like the blank like bubble nurse faces, but like there's like chunks, like there's dino damage taken out where you can see teeth underneath it in places where teeth shouldn't be. There is a nemesis style enemy who comes after you after somebody asks you to deface a shrine. He's like a huge, like waterlogged corpse with his eyes hanging out. There are like these kind of tanuki demon looking things that look like something out of Silent Hill 3. Yeah, there's cool fucked up guys in this. Yeah,
the art style looks cool.
So. Yeah, I wish I liked it more. But, oh, well. Any questions about Labyrinth of the Demon King?
Nope. Dave bought it, so eventually I'll hear more about it.
Hear more cursing and swearing.
Yeah. Probably.
Oh. Ben, how about you?
Yeah, I think this will be a good segue, I think, to Jala's, because I think I have a few demos to talk about as well. So, yeah, I'll just kick it off. The first demo I played this week was Baby Steps. It's the next Bennett Foddy game. Yeah. I think it's popular streamers because it's fun to watch people be frustrated.
It's a Bennett Foddy game.
Yeah.
Bennett Foddy specializes in making things to torture streamers.
Yeah, and Ape Out. And so this one's more in line with like getting over it. The idea is like the controls that it's like QWOP but 3D and maybe more forgiving, I guess, than QWOP itself. But yeah, the basic premise is, I think narratively, you're kind of like a 35-year-old like stoner who lives at home in the basement of his parents' house and just gets mysteriously transported to a mountain where he's surrounded by a bunch of New Zealanders, I think, who all have kind of like odd, offbeat humor, and he kind of interacts with them in cutscenes. But the main game mechanic is you're trying to walk up this mountain, but it's very much like QWOP style controls, where if you're playing on mouse and keyboard, like the right and left click will lift up that right or left foot. and the WASD controls just determine which way you lean. And so that's about it. And so like using a combination of these, it's like you have to lean forward, but then time your like back and forth between the right and left clicks, both pressing down and taking up to walk. And it's pretty easy, especially at first, to just fall over on your face or extend your stride too long and fall over and something like that.
It feels like you're describing Octodad a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and the part that's kind of an interesting choice with this game is it's supposed to be like an open world-ish game where there's kind of like a main path where there's like lights to follow up the mountain, and you kind of get more kind of narrative quests or interactions with people. But there's other kind of like points of interest around the world that you can kind of walk to. And I'm not exactly sure how to interact with all of them. Like, for example, there's kind of like things that look like cairns, but it's like cans, like can pyramids, like around the map. I don't know how to knock them over. I'm not sure if you're supposed to like fling yourself at them. The main hazard in the world is there's like little water rivers, and there's little mudslides where if you basically just step on them, you fall over and just slide down the entire mountain. And that is very in line with like getting over it, where then you have to, reset all your progress and start from there. It doesn't take too long to get pretty competent at the walking part, which I was kind of surprised by. But then it's just kind of like this slow draw on your fun where it's like, oh, I have to do this like walking for another like 30 minutes to get back to where I was. And yeah, I don't know if you can reasonably complain about that in a Fadian game, but here we are. So I don't know if I'll play the full game or not, but I at least enjoyed the demo and trying it out and seeing what it had to offer. So
someone tried to get me to play that demo. They're like, I recommend baby steps, and I'm like, you can fuck yourself. No.
Yeah. I think this is probably a very polarizing game where it's like some people are very much okay with the punishment factor and are into the challenge, maybe, quote unquote, with it. And yeah, other people are just like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
I have better things to do with my time. So I don't know.
I mean, like, if it's somebody else's jam, more power to them. But most people probably know by my general disposition that this is not a game for me.
Yeah. Definitely your mileage may vary sort of game.
Right.
So.
Right.
Moving on. The second demo I played was Frosthaven. This is the digital version of the board game, both of which that are sequels to Gloomhaven.
Wow.
The board game and virtual one, respectively. Which is cool because I never got a chance to play the board game of it. I kind of purposely avoided it because I assumed this was coming out eventually. And kind of notoriously with the Gloomhaven one, I played that in real life with some friends for like 80 hours and was only like maybe a third of the way through the game.
Oh, wow.
So it's like, I don't have time to, or it's too hard to like get that done to like play that with other people. Whereas like the digital version, like you can play by yourself and solo it and like knock it out in a couple weeks time. So that's kind of what I wanted to do with this whenever it comes out. So I was just excited that the demo was released because it was not really on my radar. Played the demo, played the first map, got to the end, died. So I was like, man, the last hour and a half meant nothing. So it's just like Gloomhaven, had a terrible time, 10 out of 10. I can't wait to play it with friends. So that's kind of how it goes. They have 4 classes in it. I assume there's going to be more as it goes on and goes to release. I'm not sure how many are in the game, but kind of one of the things at Gloomhaven, like one of the selling points is like, you maybe have 4 or 5 starting classes, but then as you retire them, it quickly opens up and there's like maybe 12 more factions you can unlock and play as. So I'm imagining the same is true here. I didn't really get deep enough into it to see what the difference between this game and Gloomhaven was. Like right now, it's pretty much the same. It's just that each new class is like a new deck of cards that you play with, and they each have their own unique mechanics. So while that is all new, that's kind of expected to be new. I don't know what's going to be new with like the base building part of like Frosthaven itself and all that. So I haven't gotten far enough to do that part yet. So I don't know. It's more Gloomhaven if you like Gloomhaven. So I'll be excited to play it eventually, but it may be a while off before it's like fully released. So we'll see.
Yeah.
And then the last thing that I have to talk about is a weirder one. It's a game called We Harvest Shadows. It's made by David Weil, Wehle. They had made like a game called The First Tree, like maybe almost a decade ago, 8 years ago. It's kind of like a lower fi, but I remember it being promoted kind of like on Reddit in the indie game space. The game that they put out, at least the demo for recently, We Harvest Shadows, is kind of an interesting genre mix-up. The premise of it is based on a real-life story of a person who kind of went into the woods to live by themselves for like decades at a time. And so it's kind of based on that, where you're going to this farm, and it's kind of like think of like a 3D Stardew Valley sort of thing at the beginning of it, where it's like you're growing vegetables and stuff like that. But the unique factor here is at night, like weird horror-y things happen. And so kind of like how Blueprints was like invented this new genre between drafting and a puzzle game, this kind of feels like a newish sort of genre, which I think there's other examples of where it's like horror and like a crafting base building type farming simulator game.
Yeah, it's the farming that's the kind of the angle on that, because there's like what, Darkwood as the top-down crafting one, and like the forest kind of gets a little bit into the, base building crafting kind of thing too.
Yeah, I guess where those maybe are more like horror forward, this one's kind of like farming forward with like spooky things happen at night sort of thing.
Gotcha.
And kind of with the premise of the conceit of the game is it's like you're not sure if this person's just kind of going a little bit crazy by being by themselves for this long and just like talking to themselves sort of thing, or if it's things that are actually like spooky and haunted and stuff. This one I haven't played very much of. I only played like an hour or so, but it does seem like it has some promise of like cool. There's like some cool ideas in it as far as like spooky things that happen. There's like they try and give you like a sanity gauge there's a painting on the wall on the first floor that will sometimes change based on like what your sanity level is. And so basically the spookier it looks, the less sane you are. I think one of the gauges for it is like you have a to-do list that you open up every day, and it's kind of like your goal for the day. I think kind of the other thing that this game is kind of about is it's almost like a how do you deal with like depression type game.
Okay.
Because there's very basic things at the beginning, like clean your room sort of thing, or like, like small manageable tasks that your character is trying to do. So a lot of it kind of feels like an allegory for that. But the kind of how it ties into the gameplay is if you don't get these missions accomplished, basically your sanity starts to go down and down. And so things get spookier at night. So there's like a weird, feedback system here. Yeah, I don't know. It seems like a pretty unique, game from the outset. I'll probably play more of it in the next week or so, but yeah, anyway, it just seemed like a unique game. So yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. No, that sounds cool. I was annoyed because it was only my fault, but I missed the previous weekend of streaming, and it was like, God, I don't want to stop playing Labyrinth of the Demon King, because I know if I stop, I'm never going to come back. But like, I was real tempted to do some horror demo streams,
right?
And this would have fit in very well with that. So I'm curious about this one.
You can do it again in the future.
I can.
So,
yeah.
That's all I got.
Okay. Baby Steps, Frosthaven, and We Harvest Shadows. All right, Jala, hit us.
I'm going to give myself a cough. All right, so the first of the various demos, The Drifter. This is a point-and-click pulp adventure thriller about a wanderer caught in a time loop. It's developed by Powerhoof and Dave Lloyd, and it's releasing on July 17th. It's got gorgeous pixel art, which is what I looked at. First off, it looks like it's got horror elements to it, or thriller horror, some scary stuff kind of happening. You can see that just from like the banner on it, but also that it's got really cool pixel art.
Yeah.
It's fully voiced, which was surprising to me. And it, to me, looks like a pretty fresh take on the point-and-click genre in general. Just because, like, it's got the very cool pixel art combined with the full voice narration talking from the first person and all of that. And then just it's from all of the different reviews of folks who have played whatever iteration or played through the, whatever, like the demo or alpha copies or whatnot. They have all said that the puzzles and stuff are not really like super challenging or obtuse the way that point and click adventures are known for. So, like it makes a little bit more sense in terms of like the stuff you have to do to advance forward and all of that. The demo is real short, but it's really like a gripping narrative. It's really well done. I highly, highly recommend that folks check this out. Just go look at it. If it looks like something you might be interested in, chances are when you boot it up, you're going to love it.
Yeah.
So
you can see the horror stuff because if they straight up use the Stephen King font in the title in the title art. Yeah.
Good call out.
Yeah. This studio has done interesting stuff before. They're the ones who did Crawl, that kind of asynchronous dungeon crawler game, multiplayer one. And they also did Regular Human Basketball, which is like kind of been on the short list for Duckstream, like multiplayer stuff for a little while. So, it's a neat studio. And it looks like their first like primarily single player thing too.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so I'm definitely going to be picking that up when it drops on the 17th of next month. So that is The Drifter. The next one on the list is Eriksholm, The Stolen Dream. This is an isometric, narrative-driven stealth adventure game developed by River End Games, releasing on July 15, so just a couple of days before The Drifter. In this game, you play as Hannah. Hannah and her brother Herman live in a fictionalized version of the UK, just kind of scraping by. They're not well off or anything. They seem to be by themselves and they're younger. So they just kind of, you get the impression that they do some thieving sometimes because they have to get by. But they also do work, like Herman has a job and all of that, and he leaves. So basically, Hannah wakes up after having been sick with the heartpox, which is a fictional disease running rampant that kills pretty much everybody. And then Herman goes off to work at the coal mine, and you fall asleep waiting for him to come back. And then there's a knock at the door, and it's the cops, and the cops are trying to find him. And since they can't find him, they try to take you down to the station, but then you dodge, you run away. You sneak into a vent and just like disappear into the building, and then you have to sneak out of the building and go try to figure out where your brother is and what's going on and why the cops are after him. So, so far, I did not play the entire demo. I had played a good chunk of it, but then I was like, I have 7,000 demos I want to try. So I will play like an hour and then I'll move on. But so far, it's 100% stealth without any kind of combat. But there is a mentioned blowgun.
Yeah.
And they talk about sedatives. And then when you look at the character artwork for this, Hannah has a blowgun on her person in like the primary image for her for this game. So you, at the very least, get sedatives that you can use as well in this stealth adventure game. So it's kind of like it reminds me most accurately of Likho, that one that was a stealth game that I played.
I was going to call that out.
Right, that's what it reminds me the most of, but this has more world and story development, and the graphics are gorgeous. The cinematics are fantastic. I mean, just go check them out if you haven't seen them. So like this one is interesting. It's cool. If it has any actual combat, then I would be like, yeah, it's kind of like Dishonored without powers, like a no powers run on Dishonored. I've been having a lot of fun with that. I definitely want to go back to that demo and keep playing. But the save data is on my big computer, not on my Steam Deck, and it didn't save to the cloud or anything.
That's a whole hour.
And I'm like, okay, well now I got to go sit at my computer, which I do all day, every day anyway for work. So the allure of sitting at my computer some more is only just so much. So we'll see.
man, anything with a dart, whenever I fire it, I just think of the C-Lab episode. Oops, dart in your neck. Just every single time, like in RE6, whenever Carla darts somebody, and she darts like 40 people in that game, I just say, oops, dart in your neck.
That's funny. But yeah, this game is beautiful. Definitely take a look at it. It's cool, and it reminds me of some of my friends over in the UK because Hannah talks like some of them. Has the same regional accent. So anyway, moving right along, I have Davy X Jones, or Davy Jones if you want, but there's
Davy
an X
Cross
in the middle
Jones.
There. Yeah, Davy Cross Jones. I don't know. This is an action adventure FPS by Parasite, where you play as Jones, the headless body of Davy Jones, accompanied by Davy Jones' autonomous head.
From the Monkees?
And yes, of course. So they start down in hell and are seeking out Blackbeard to exact revenge. And I don't know. Apparently, the locker, Davy Jones' locker, is an open world area, which that does not do good things for me. Anytime I have any kind of an open world, that guarantees I will never finish whatever it is.
Yeah.
So anyway, I didn't play this demo for very long just because the controls felt slippery and inexact, and it's supposed to be an FPS with some, you have a gun and a sword. You are using both, but of course you're going to be using your gun a lot. Okay. So the slippery controls didn't feel great. I don't know if that's because I was on my controller or if it plays better if I'm on mouse and keyboard, but I don't even know if it has mouse and keyboard capacity. I think it just had, I don't know. Anyway. So
what, how does the head factor in? Is that just like an NPC that follows you around?
It's a floating skull with a spine attached to it that talks to you.
Okay.
And hangs out. And I don't know. I didn't play very much of it to get very much of that. If you go and you watch the trailer thing, the head, Davy, is talking to Jones, the body, and having this whole conversation. And then you see him kind of like, I don't know, attached to the arm of Jones while Jones is doing stuff to, I guess, power up his attack. I don't know. No. I have no idea. Anyway, I like the theming, but the current iteration is not making me feel particularly jazzed about its release. I hope they clean it up. Like the cinematic, the little trailer thing looks cool. And then when you get in there, it's like all the enemies look the same. And then it's got slippery controls. And I'm like, And I mean, it has a thing in the lower right-hand corner that's like, stuff in this demo is not like the final product and all of that. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't know. Yeah. So I didn't even write down when this is coming out, so I don't know that it even has a release date. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't.
I don't know.
Maybe it was Q3. I don't know. Anyway, I wasn't excited about that, although it looked cool. So sad days.
It's got a neat visual style, lots of fidelity to it, and the idea of playing that underwater is neat.
Yeah, I know. So just beware. Go check out the demo and judge for yourself. So. The next one I have is Gecko Gods.
Okay.
So you play as a gecko on an island with the ruins of a forgotten civilization in this kind of puzzle adventure style game that's developed by InResin. The art is gorgeous and it feels really relaxing to play. I was very much charmed by the fact that you have little footprints that you leave behind and that you can attach to the walls because you're a gecko. And then you can scream. I was so happy. You can push a button and then your little gecko goes, and it's great. And I'm running around screaming on the island. It was great.
You know more about lizards than I do. Do geckos scream?
Yes.
Huh.
They can. They do not very often. They do not nearly the amount that I was screaming on the island.
The menace with which you said they can was...
I had a panther gecko.
I know.
He could make noise. I had him for a decade, and Indra did not talk to me very much. Every once in a while he would make noises, but he was not very much of a talker.
Yeah.
So
I got a follow-up question. Do geckos uncover lost civilizations?
I'm not sure if that was on Indra's to-do list or not.
Okay, I mean, they probably wouldn't know if they did.
Well, so moving right along. I can scream and I can run around on walls and ceilings, which is very fantastic. And I think if I pick this up and play it when it comes out, all I'm going to do is wander around looking at the scenery, screaming. I mean, to be honest, because this is kind of like an open world puzzle game. And again, anything that says it's open world, I'm never going to focus on anything. I'm going to go wander around, and that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to be like, I don't know what to do because I am now so far away from the starting area, So, it's charming. Like it's charming. So like, even though I may never do anything else, I might just pick it up anyway to derp around, run around the island.
But walk on
you're
some
supposed
surfaces.
to be, yeah. Well, you're supposed to be reviving the Gecko gods to bring balance to nature or something like
somebody
that.
else
I don't
can
know.
do that. That's fine.
So I don't know. I don't know. I welcome the Gecko overlords, but at the same time, I'm not going to be the one.
Yeah.
So anyway, this release is Q4. I will probably pick it up when it's on a sale anyway. And I say only on a sale because I know I'm never going to finish it.
Yeah.
So I will sink in the amount of money that I will play.
Yes.
So
Steam says it's similar to Dredge and Blueprints, so that's a pretty good comparison.
there you go. So moving right along, the next one is another disappointment, Thief's Shelter. This is supposed to be a point-and-click detective game, but I did not get very far into it at all, and it did not catch my attention. And it also doesn't have a release date, so I don't even know how long it's going to be in development. You can go look at the trailer for yourself. I looked at it, and I was like, I'm not really 100% sure how good this is going to be. It might be good, but just janky, or maybe have a rough translation. But then when I booted it up, I'm like, oh no, this is just janky, bad janky.
I'm seeing some Flashlight House stuff here.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm not feeling this one. So I spent maybe 5 minutes looking at that one. So that's. Yeah, I don't know that it's worth your time to download it. You probably aren't going to stay in the game longer than you downloaded it.
Yeah.
But here, let's go back to some other things that are fun.
Okay.
I have other things. Everything else I have to talk about is good stuff.
Okay.
So, Dead as Disco. So, in this game, you play as Charlie Disco in a music-themed beat-em-up by Brain Jar Games, where the punches, kicks, and combos are all synced to the beat of music. So it's very much Hi-Fi Rush kind of thing. It's very neon. It's very shiny. I didn't play it for very long because I knew pretty quick that I wanted to pick this up.
It's got kind of a Suda 51 look to it a little bit.
Yeah. And also you can upload your own music. So you can punch and kick and do stuff to the beat of your own music, which is real cool. I didn't actually do that because I was doing this one on stream and I was like, I don't know if Twitch is going to get mad at me for putting my own music on there.
As funny as it would be.
Yeah. So yeah, that one is real cool. So if you like beat 'em ups, if you like Hi-Fi Rush, or anything like that, or even something I would say like Devil May Cry and you like combos and that kind of thing, that might be something that you would dig. It's got a very cool premise and it's got the fashion and the different styles of fighting that you can unlock and everything. So I'm looking forward to that release.
Yeah, that looks kind of neat.
The next one, this is one of the ones that I'm the most interested in, One-Eyed Likho. So this is a first-person psychological horror adventure game based on Slavic folklore by Morteksha. Sorry, I'm butchering the shit out of that. It's releasing Q3, so that's cool. It's set in 19th century Russia. You play as a smith who is drinking with his buddy the tailor one night when he decides that for all that he's experienced, he's never seen evil. So he and the tailor go out into the dark forest at night together to go look for the Likho, a creature that allegedly can grant wishes so that they can see evil. And the fact that you don't have a given name and nor does your buddy is pretty great and goes along with all the folklore theming. And this whole idea that the whole reason they want to go out and go find this thing is because they haven't seen evil. That the tailor is like, I have a lot of money. I'm well-to-do. I can buy anything, but I haven't found evil. I want to go find evil.
Let's just do
that. this does not seem like a premise that's going to end well.
Yeah,
you know.
I just you sent me a highlight from your stream, and I was like, just speaking as one of the characters. Hello, friend. Let's go die in the forest together.
Right. So anyway, I played a bit. I definitely want to play the full game when it comes out. So I stopped playing it, but I'm probably going to go back and play more of it.
Yeah.
More of the demo anyway, just because it's real fun. It's real cool. It's very moody. It's black and white. And you said Moondown?
Moondown, yes. It's a game I streamed a while back. It came out, I think, like 3 years ago. That has kind of a kind of sketchy pencil kind of look to it, but it is also monochrome, and it is Swiss folklore. It is folk horror in the way that this looks to be folk horror. So it's like kind of the closest like grab I could make, I guess.
Right. And you're not the only person who said that upon looking at this game after I was like, look at this game. So it's One-Eyed Likho. It's Likho.
Mm-hmm.
So the next game on the list is not part of NextFest, but it's a game that I had a demo for, and I wanted to stream it sometime, so I just popped it up on the end of my stream, and then I played 2 more demos after that, like on my own, not streaming.
Mm-hmm.
So the next one is Priest Simulator Heavy Duty. So this was released in 2021, developed by Asmodev. The voiceover is in Polish, and there is an English dub, but I haven't heard that because I played in the Polish language. So this is a sandbox action FPS where you play a vampire priest named Orlok. And from the copy for the game, it says, Sandeville, a village haunted by a recent increase in Satanist activity, hosts a chili eating contest. Kaye, a little-known streamer, decides to document the event and meet the companions' front-runner, Father Orlok. Heavy Duty is written in the form of a mockumentary. There is talking to the camera, there is village drama, there are TV strips like on the BBC. You play as Father Orlok, sharing a slice of your life. This is a very, very weird little game. You've got like the whole theming is there's the Satanists or Satanists and the Christianists, the Christians, and they are fighting like they're blue and red respectively, and like they're all over the place, and you can like basically demand money from the Christianists, and then like the Satanists or Satanists will immediately attack you on sight. A bunch of random ass things happen in this game, like random as fuck, to where people who were watching me stream this were like, I have no idea what this game is going to do next. And I'm like, I don't either. I have no idea what's going to happen anymore for the next part of this. So, this was basically a demo for Priest Simulator Vampire Show. That released in December of last year, and I actually had picked that up on a sale, so I'm probably going to play that sometime, but only on stream, because this is the kind of weird nonsense that I fuck around with on stream a little bit and then turn it off and never go back to.
Right. It's,
it's very weird.
If I'm being honest, it seems like it's a bit much.
It is a lot. It's a lot. Folks were having a good time watching it though, so I will do the duty of playing some of this on stream for folks so they can watch me lose my mind a little bit.
Oh, this is from the publisher of Thief Simulator, who just put out a game called Crime Simulator, and I'm very curious what the distinction is. Sorry.
That's pretty great.
Yeah.
So those are all the ones that I streamed. I also played 2 more. Mina the Hollower, and this was recommended by Thrak to me, so thanks for the reco. This is from Yacht Club Games, the folks who made Shovel Knight.
Yeah, it's their first game since like the last Shovel Knight expansion kind of stuff. Yeah.
Right. This is kind of like a Castlevania-like, where you play Mina, a mouse tasked with freeing a land under a curse. Terrible night to have a curse. And the visuals are like an improved 8-bit Game Boy Color.
Yeah.
And you can pick one of 3 weapons at the start of the demo, a pair of daggers, a whip, or a hammer, each of which has different move sets, of course. You can also burrow as just like a general I am a mouse mechanic. And Jake Kaufman composed the music, and I like his music generally speaking. So
what else has he done?
He did, if I'm not mistaken, like the Double Dragon Neon soundtrack,
Okay.
and I dug that quite a bit, and
Yeah.
some other stuff too. Like I've seen his name on stuff, but I can't tell you offhand what other ones. But I follow him on Bandcamp for like some reason, so I must have liked some stuff that he made at some point. Anyway,
he did Shovel Knight stuff. Yeah,
there you go.
He's amazing.
He also
Yeah.
did that. So this game is also an all-around solid title. Like it's solid one to pick up for sure. Releases on October 31st. Cool. And
Yeah, this is. I'm excited about this one. It looks amazing, and I'm glad to hear that it like worked for you.
oh yeah. That one is a solid one as well. So the very, very last one that I've got to talk about, Absolum. I didn't stream this one either. This was recommended by Ophelion or Alex. So thank you, sir. This feels like an arcade D&D beat 'em up kind of thing, but mixed with roguelite elements. Alex says that it's kind of like Hades, but since I haven't played Hades, I'll just defer to him. So the copy for this game says, Talam has been shattered by a magical cataclysm caused by ambitious wizards, leaving magic mistrusted by the common folk. Sun King Azra took advantage of this panic, enslaving wizards through his Crimson Order and placing loyal princes to rule over the conquered realms. As Azra's forces claim more and more lands, the High Enchantress Uchawi and a small group of rebels rise from the shadows, wielding forbidden magic to challenge his oppressive regime and defy his absolute magic power. This one has fantastic animation.
Yeah.
I don't like the style.
Oh, wow.
But I don't like that style of art. However, it's very well animated. So even though the thing that made me not like kind of skip over this when I was looking through NextFest is because that art is ugly to me. So
okay. Yeah.
I didn't even want to look at it. But then
to give it a description, like it's got like a flat shaded hand drawn kind of look to it. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like very specifically like a very simplified look, not quite like a Scott Pilgrim type of thing, but in the same kind of cartoon aesthetic, in that kind of way where it's like,
It reminds me of like a little bit of the art from like the this is a very specific poll, the Hawkeye My Life as a Weapon trade paperback. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, so, but the animation is very fluid and smooth and well done. The art direction is fantastic. Just like there's stuff going on in the background on the levels. There's animations and stuff for all of the critters and everything. And it's so lovingly crafted that even though I'm not a fan of the overall look of the thing, I actually still enjoy the animation and can appreciate it anyway, because it's just really well done. Also, the music is great, and this one also has a bunch of voice cast and everything like that is fantastic. It feels very rooted, like the world is developed very well, so it has like a distinct flavor to it as you're going through. But yeah, it's like the roguelike kind of elements where you have like a place that you return to after you die in the level. And you can, like retain stuff and level up things and then go back out, and kind of go forward again to battle. And it's something that looks like it'll have co-op and everything as well. Very cool. Definitely recommend that folks check that out. Absolutely.
Not enough. There are not enough D&D beat 'em up alikes out there. Shadow of over Mystara kind of stuff. Right.
Well, this one feels better to me than that does. And I like that game a lot. So overall, like this one doesn't have a release date yet, sadly. So I don't know when it's going to come out. It's coming soon, which could be forever from now. So, but definitely wish list this. Check it out. So, of all the various games that I have mentioned, Absolum, Mina the Hollower, One-Eyed Likho, Dead as Disco, and Eriksholm and The Drifter are all ones that I really, really enjoyed.
Nice.
So,
what were the ones?
Tons.
That's a lot. What
lot.
What were the ones that like the viewers responded to? Like got excited about in there?
The one that everybody was excited about when they were just enjoying me play.
Yeah,
that was not a NextFest title. That was Pre-Simulator.
Got you.
Heavy Duty.
Okay.
People just like that because it's bug nuts.
Right.
And so like when I play the full game at some point on my stream, people will have fun because it makes no sense and it's fine.
Yeah. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Nice. Cool. Well, we got through a shitload of stuff there.
Yeah.
We did.
Hello, efficiency crew.
We are moving efficiently, yeah.
Right.
Multiplayer.
Now it is time for the multiplayer, where normally we ask you a question and you answer it, but Dennis is away this week, so we're going to do breakfast for dinner here. We're going to do a free play. That's when we have you ask us questions. That just all of those sentences are inscrutable. Rookie asks, do you all listen to the episodes you're on, the ones you're not on? If so, what are those experiences like for you?
Kaye, you can't even answer this question because you don't listen to them because you record every episode.
Yeah, of this show, sure. Yeah. So, and yeah, I will step aside.
Ben?
Well, I was going to say, I think it's possible. Like, because I've gone back and listened to, I only did this once, but I went back and listened to an episode from like 10 years prior or something like that.
Wow.
And was like amazed at how quickly we talked when in our more youthful age. That was the only thing I noticed. But then also, I think now my partner will sometimes listen to episodes, and so hearing it through that is very like, oh, I forgot about that, because I feel like so often it's you record and just kind of forget it. But
that's universal. Every single podcaster I've ever heard has that same experience.
Yeah.
Everybody talks to me about the stuff that I'm on for the most part. So like I have to listen to the episodes that I'm on, even of my own show, because if I don't, people are going to ask me questions or respond to stuff that I say and I don't remember what I said. So I do actively listen. As for this show, I used to listen to all of the episodes, including all the ones that I'm not on. I stopped doing that at some point just because I was doing a lot of studying for my show, and that takes a lot of time-intensive stuff. And now it's the problem of, no, I have caretaker duties and stuff, so like I don't have as much time to listen to podcasts, generally speaking.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. There is no spoken or unspoken obligation anybody has to listen to episodes they're not on.
Well, so like I will listen to the episodes that I'm on, mostly so that I can remember what the hell was happening when people talk to me about them.
Yeah.
And it's funny because there are so many times of this show specifically where you, Kaye, specifically, will ask me a question, and then I'm thinking about something else entirely like in response to that. And I never really answer your question because like I went off somewhere else. And I when I listen back, I'm like, I never answered the question.
Well, you said something that got me thinking about something else. Yeah.
Right. And I just wandered off somewhere. And that's exactly how I play video games, y'all. Anyway, so it
is not my job as mediator and facilitator to like yank everything back on track. I think it would be a very different show if it was.
Well, in either case, when I was listening to the episodes that I wasn't on, I was still commenting to everybody who was on the episode about the stuff that they said on the episode, and being one of those people who's talking to you about stuff you don't remember that you said.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
keeping everyone on their toes, I guess.
Yeah, I haven't listened to my own stuff in a very, very long time. Just because I was there when I recorded it, and podcasting is something that doesn't have an awful lot of replay value. So just one of those things. Whenever I put out an episode, it is like, and now that Gwen does our editing, it's like, well, yeah, no, I'm just immediately on to the next one. I've probably recorded the next thing before anybody hears the other one. Yeah.
I will say that I have definitely, like in more recent times, especially now that I'm replaying currently Danganronpa, I'm like, I need to go back and listen to the episodes where I was talking about Danganronpa for several episodes and getting mad at it. I need to hear those again because I need to see what the fuck I said back then. It's kind of like I got into a conversation about Persona 4 because, of course, that's going to be remade. So,
Oh yeah.
I was talking to Dave about it earlier today, and I'm like, what the hell did I say when I was playing Persona 4? And like, I want to actually go back and listen to those level episodes, at least like those parts, just to remember what the hell I said at the time when it was fresh, you know, because your memory doesn't comport to exactly what your experience was at the time, you know? So
it would probably, it would benefit me. So like now that Real Itch Hours is on to the Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines season, like I could go back and listen to the one we recorded, like the episode about Bloodlines we recorded 14 years ago. But like, I feel like if I did that, a lot of the stuff that I said that I would say in episodes I record now would be just in response to things that I said, you know, maybe erroneously, again, 14 years ago when I was a different person playing a different game.
Right. And that's part of the thing too. I mean, like it's also kind of like a reflection when I'm looking back at the stuff, you know, and like replaying the same game and then looking at it again and going, the first time this is what happened, what I said and what I felt about it. But now I feel totally different. What do you know? That's kind of, you know, like a personal growth arc or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Juliet asks, have any of you ever played Zombie Revenge for the Sega Naomi arcade cabinet?
There's also a link showing you what this game looks like.
Yeah. I have an answer for this, but I want to know if other people have.
I wish I played it just from the poster of it. It looks awesome.
Yeah, no, I definitely have never seen or heard about this before.
Yeah.
But I did watch some of the video, and I'm like, oh, God, yes, that brings me back the bad voice acting, and just the whole layout. I'm like, yeah, this is very much of an era.
Yeah. So this is this takes place in the House of the Dead universe. This is like a 3D beat 'em up that plays very similarly to, do either of you remember the like Die Hard games for arcade?
I don't think
Vaguely.
so. No.
Yeah.
Vaguely.
But yeah, you can play as like one of 3 different characters. It has like 3-player co-op for the arcade. And it is bonkers and not extremely good, but very interesting in terms of having that House of the Dead camp to it. And having like you just don't see a zombie game with play like this.
Right. Exactly.
The most recent arcade special we did. No, it was the Watch Out for Fireballs episode about horror games at the arcade. I played and talked about this. So if anybody's curious for more of a deep dive, there's a segment on there.
Cool.
Yeah. Red Baron asks, has there ever been a time with storytelling in games or media in general where subtlety was not the best approach? Yeah, all the time.
I think I have an answer for this for the media one. I'll say Paul Thomas Anderson's career is like a slow walk into being more and more subtle and being like less and less easy to parse what he's going after. Not that I don't enjoy the movies, but at the same time, it's like, and the differentiator I think is There Will Be Blood in The Master, where it's like, there will be blood, pretty clear what he's going after. The Master, think I know what it's going after.
Yeah.
After that, it's like your best guess.
Like what was it? After that, it was like Inherent Vice, and that was it. Like more inscrutable than the book.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. No, like all the time. Like we did a mini episode about this, mini episode of Unfilmable about The Substance, and like that is a movie that is completely without subtlety and would have suffered if it tried to be like more nuanced about it. Yeah. Like subtlety is often the best thing, but also it is not a universal good, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And there is a fine line to walk between inscrutability and, as Ben mentioned, so and being subtle in a way that is well executed. So,
can you think of anything from games, Jala, or is this more of a media thing?
I'm just talking in general.
Yeah.
I don't have any specific instances that I can think of off the top of my head. I mean, like anything with a political message or anything like that, it's yes, it can be done in a subtle way, but I feel like subtlety is like your mileage may vary because some people they do not pick up on subtle things.
Yeah.
And so they will not understand unless you say it plain,
Yeah.
and there's that. And there's also the fact that I feel like subtlety is also harder to generally execute in a way that will convey itself clearly still, even though you are being subtle. So, that's a tricky thing to master.
It is funny because no matter how direct you are, there will be people who misinterpret. Think Paul Verhoeven with Starship Troopers, right? Yeah. Moving on to the next one here. Callum says, how in depth do you go with a character creator? For example, I normally just do a preset with minor changes.
I would die. I can't. No, I have to mess with every little slider and see what it does.
Yeah. I definitely go in and take a look. But I get to a point where I start getting into like cheekbone height versus cheekbone depth, and it's like I can't even see what on the model is changing with that.
And that's the thing, is that after a while, you're messing with it, and you're like, this character is starting to look real good, and you keep messing with it, and you're like, I don't know what I did, but I fucked it up.
I lost it.
How can I fix this?
Character creators desperately need undo buttons, I think.
Right. I know they do.
Yeah.
So. And like quick saves to you can just hold your presets and then pick one. That would be great.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I do the Callum approach, which is just go through random ones until I'm like, that looks close enough to what I would want to go after, and go with that.
Yeah. I get close. I am more interested in character clothing and hair customization than this is what the person's face looks like. I will use a preset for a face or something like that, but then get real into the the hair, tattoos or piercings and stuff, things like that. That is the stuff that I think is cool because it's easy to tell what's different.
I mess with everything.
Yeah.
Because I also explore everything in video games. So it's just par for the course. I'm going to be messing with the character creator. But I'm also not one of those people who's going to make 70 characters. I'm going to make one.
Yeah.
And then that'll be the character at the end.
Yeah. Let's see. Doug, our friend from Nostalgium Arcanum, says, you can domesticate any game enemy and turn it into a pet. What do you choose and why? Also, what's its name? I'm going to be, this one's real easy. If it's an enemy, a slime from Dragon Quest. Yeah.
What's the slime do, or why specifically that type of slime?
It's just one of the most iconic enemy designs, and I think that they're real cute. It would not get slime over everything. It would be self-contained. They would not be a messy pet. I would have it. Yeah. I don't know what I would name it. I think I would just call it slime. Just I don't know. I call Dottie and Greta cat when I speak to them. So, yeah. How about you, Jala?
Well, I was really considering what I wanted to answer. And then I was just like, you know what? We're going to go for the wild answer. I'm going to say Wesker. He said any enemy. Wesker will be my pet. Okay. His name will be Wesker.
Will he?
Why? Well, it's Wesker, and he's a snotty little bastard. So, for him to be a pet and all of that would be quite a different role for him.
It's going to be like a Taming of the Shrew situation where you're going to break him into being a good boy.
Exactly.
Every year
you'll be a good boy and you will like it.
Okay.
Anyway.
No, Jolly, somebody's going to clip that.
Oh, yeah. I don't care. Yeah. That's fine.
Yeah. Just every year he gets a little bit more British and a little bit more theatrical. Yeah. I also just picture him like he's Wesker, but he can only say his own name like a Pokemon. Wesker.
Right? Exactly. That would be actually pretty fucking funny.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Ben, how about you?
I'm trying to min-max this and get like some sort of travel companion that is like low maintenance. So like Dragon's the only thing I'm coming up with, but that seems high maintenance.
Oh yeah, you gotta give that golden gems.
Yeah, so I don't think I have a good answer for this. Maybe I'll just take the mysterious stranger in New Vegas. He wasn't really an enemy, right? But
No.
I'm going to say that he was an enemy so I can pick him for this question. So yeah, that dude.
Yeah. Brainedable says, to me, the album Deceivers by Arch Enemy seems to be about Baldur's Gate 3. The song Eye of the Storm could have been called Karlach's theme. House of Mirrors is about Raphael. Poisoned Arrow about Lae'zel. Is there any music for you that belongs to a game even without official connection? I'm going to come out and say this. No.
Yeah, I know. Me either. Like, I really tried with this one, and I was like, I don't know. Like, you got
I got one. I got one for this. Star Wars, was it Jedi Outcast? I associate with Incubus because in high school I was listening to that and playing that, and I was eating Hot Pockets. So all of that is in like one corner in my memory.
Yeah,
that's great.
Okay,
that's great.
Yeah, yeah. I don't even know that I have like a super strong like association even. Yeah.
No, I have to say that I associate, there used to be a podcast that was a short history of Japan podcast by Cameron Foster, an Australian professor. And I don't think it's up anymore, but that one, I used to listen to that while I was doing like grinding stuff in Guild Wars. So like I associate that podcast with Guild Wars, very specifically the first Guild Wars, because I would listen to that podcast and wander around and do quests and stuff in Guild Wars.
Yeah.
So.
The last one here, Michael asks, in light of all the bad news happening in the game dev space, what are some ways that you can support devs? Alternatively, are you aware of any resources that speak about this topic?
So the way that I support that, like I like my indie games, so my support is almost exclusively towards the indie game, indie dev community.
Yeah.
But I like actively participate in a few of their Discords / interact with them on social spaces / talk about / stream their games. You know, bring them up here, bring them up on my own show, bring them up, you know, wherever. And sometimes I do interviews with folks like that, like the Guardshard Chronicles fellow and all of that, Elman Dean Todd. You know, I had him on for an interview, and I'll probably be having some folks for other types of games coming up in the future as well. So. So for me, it's just like signal boosting / interacting / appreciating the stuff that they do, you know, directly to them.
Yeah.
So
like my aim when I do this is not like specifically to, you know, help out the developers, but like when I really become a fan of a game and talk about it an awful lot and like stream it and like make a point to say like, hey, this is one to really pay attention to. Like that, you know, I try to really call my shots with that, so that it'll, you know, make a difference, you know, for those people in particular. So like they're just, you know, hobby horse games that I have where like, you know, they have a publisher, but I will always talk about Teardown because that is a very special game, right? You know, stuff like that. As far as like devs who may or may not have like previously worked for a larger studio, I do not know what I could do to help them because I do not have job connections. Right. So that is where it gets a little bit difficult. So I just try and boost the indie games that I really, really, really like. And that's about what I do.
Right.
I think, yeah, hopefully not going off on too much of a tangent here, but yeah, like the economics like over our lifetime has been interesting to see where it's like the price we pay for games are cheaper than they ever were, like adjusted for inflation.
Yeah.
But then also like games are less and less uniquely programmed now. Like there's more reliance on like game engines. And so like kind of the process of making a game is like more assisted now than it was like in the past. yeah, I don't know like what the most like ethical way to like because I think there's certain cases where because I think like kind of like the modern narrative is like be against price increases like across the board.
Yeah.
But like there's certain cases where it's like if a company is like making a wholly original product and that they built from the ground up, like that's something that like you should be okay with like investing in it. And maybe a decent example of this is like the Grand Theft Auto game where it's like they're talking about charging $100 for it. And I know a lot of people push back for it. I'm not sure if that's a good price for it or not, but it is something to consider where it's like, and it's weird too, because I don't 100% like Rockstar that much right now.
Yeah. Also, they don't need your money. So
yeah. So that's maybe not the best example, but it's like, but if a company makes like a game from the ground up like that, and it's like wholly original or something like that, like maybe be okay with paying more for it, but I don't know the economics of like how much people make in general and like free money they have, like that's changed over time too. Yeah. So it's like so it's kind of hard to kind of nail down, you know.
And as the prices of games go up with inflation, you also have to think, okay, yes, they are effectively cheaper. However, wages haven't gone up.
Yeah,
it's and different amounts of money are different for different people. Yeah,
and it's also the case that there's more and more games coming out now than there ever have before, but then the ones that are financially successful are more concentrated than they've ever been before too. Yeah. So it's like, the economics of it are extremely weird. If you want to support game dev, though, leave a comment about the level and talk about this shit, right?
Right.
So, like, legit, when I have seen developers, specifically in indie devs, like promoting their stuff, Steam reviews do make a difference. And before a game comes out, wishlisting is a huge deal for them in terms of discoverability. So, like, even if I'm only like marginally interested in something coming out, I wishlist it. I do whatever I can for that. It's a drop in a bucket, but that is a thing that I have seen make a difference. So
right. And another thing that I do too is if I have the funds to do it and I catch their crowdfunding campaign or whatever, then I'll pitch it in there or whatnot, for the same reason of just like trying to help support. And I do the same thing. Like I will put a review on Steam or I will wishlist or both of those two things. And of course, I'll mention it to people directly that I interact with on the regular. So, and that's how a lot of folks end up getting to, like a lot of people, they might do what I do and just randomly look around on the Steam page until they find something, pick it up and go, what the hell is this? But they might also be, like most people go off of recommendations from people that they know or, sources that they have followed for a long time that they feel they can trust.
Yeah. Nice. Well, that's the questions we have to answer. Thank you, folks, for writing in. We'll be back to the normal kind of segment next week when Dennis is back. But thank you very much. Watch for those prompts to go up on Monday afternoons at the level podcast .bsky.social on Blue Sky.
Dennis is like the Sphinx of the level podcast. He's the one who asks all the questions to the listeners.
Yeah.
I used to also be, but once it was moved off Facebook,
then it became
I
less.
no longer had that.
Yeah.
I no longer had that responsibility.
The end boss.
Now it is time for the end boss, where we talk about the things that are happening in the world of video games around us and how we feel about them. I'm just going to go in the order that these were posted in our backstage chat. Jala, what's happening with Castlevania?
Y'all see that Castlevania Awakening in the Moonlight musical clip? Because I posted it. You've got to go look at it for real. So this is not news that they were making a Castlevania musical. However, it is out. It has been out. I do not know if it's actually finished its run over in Japan or not, but it's 100% female cast. The costuming is fantastic. Everybody looks fucking amazing.
I was going to say that Alucard is extremely femme.
Yeah. It looks really, really good. And I hope that they recorded it and release it on some kind of a format for purchase, because other people all over the world need to see this. It looks fucking cool. So if you haven't seen it, just like go look on YouTube, Castlevania Awakening in the Moonlight, or if you follow me on Blue Sky, you've seen me post it. So
yeah. There's precedent for some of this stuff getting recorded and brought over. There was that Resident Evil musical we covered on Adaptation Decay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, that is really neat looking. I would not associate Castlevania music with musical stuff because it's so rock forward. Yeah.
But they did it.
They did it. Ben, so this is a very Konami and ex-Konami heavy level section or end boss section.
It is.
We're hitting all my employers. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, this is an article that gave me whiplash. The double take that I did after reading the headline about it. This is kind of like a promotional article talking about Death Stranding 2 coming out in a day from now, I think, or a couple days from now. But it's a story that somebody recounted of what Kojima said during development, which was that they changed development of the game and the story halfway through the game because players were responding too positively to the game. And so he was saying that because there were too many players who thought it was too good of a game, he felt like it should be polarizing and it should be triggering different emotions besides just people liking it. So they went back and reworked certain things in the story to happen in different order or to happen differently to try and change that experience for people.
Okay.
So I had to take a step back and think about this and be like, okay, is this just make it. You deserve to make a game how you want to make it, sort of thing, or is this pretentious, or is it I don't know.
The headline doesn't do this story a lot of service because when I saw that I was like, oh, so he went in and changed stuff because people couldn't stop playing it. Oh my God, this game's amazing, I can't put it down. But if the story was a little bit too people pleasy and there were not enough big swings in the plot or in character beats, and he wanted to go in and make it a little bit more divisive, that to me is way more understandable.
Yeah, I guess the part that's surprising is when I think of the majority of game design is roughing or buffing out the rough edges that a player comes across, so that they have a positive experience interacting with the game. And so here it just seems completely antithetical to that, where I know it's probably doing it in different ways, or it's probably trying to narratively do something different, but it's just a very surprising decision where because it's okay, you shouldn't just change it because people like it, you should have an idea of what kind of story you're trying to tell and whether or not that's being accomplished.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And so so it's I don't know. It's one of those things where it's either this is way above my head and this is a genius level Giga Galaxy move, or this is are you just doing this because you feel you have to do this a certain way, sort of thing? And I'm not sure. I would need to think about that, if that's a good idea or not. I need to make a game that purposely splits the room kind of with the response that people get.
Yeah.
I don't know why you would have to do that first in your game design necessarily. But.
So the headline being the playtesters thought it was too good. I am not inclined to give Hideo Kojima a lot of benefit of the doubt when it comes to matters of taste. But if the idea is people were too happy with it, that makes sense, especially with this part, saying it means it's already pre-digested for people to like it. I don't want that. I want people to end up liking things they didn't like when they first encountered it, because that's where you really end up loving something. That to me is an understandable ethic.
So for me, that feels almost like an overgeneralization. I think mediums of art that I love, I don't necessarily hate. Sometimes I don't know what to think about them when I first see them, but it's I don't know. I feel that's not I feel that's a weird thing to gate all good art through, that I don't necessarily agree with. I further want to say the other thing that made me not know whether or not this was an Onion article or not is the last sentence of the article is, earlier this month, the U.S. Entertainment Software Rating Board suggested Death Stranding 2 player will be able to bash stuff to death with a guitar. And it's okay. That is a funny last line. That is art. An Onion thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have a feeling about this, Jala?
No.
Okay. That's fine. Yeah. And keeping the Konami thing going here, Konami had an event specifically like about Silent Hill stuff. I did not watch this when it was live. I was doing something else probably. They showed some Silent Hill F. Apparently that looks really good. But something that is kind of a surprise, given things that Bloober Team has said, is that there is going to be a remake of the first Silent Hill game in the style of the Silent Hill 2 remake. Mm-hmm. I'm excited about this. I think that the first Silent Hill game, there are ways that they could mess it up by making it too much like the movie. Sorry, Ben. But like if they stay true to like the like weirdness of the way that Silent Hill 1 itself was presented as compared to like the way stuff from it got kind of codified later on, this has the potential to be very cool. And, you know, it's another one of those games that is hard to get and play on modern systems now. They can't do Silent Hill 3 without doing Silent Hill 1 because it's a direct sequel, and it'll be a cold day in hell before any studio decides to put money into remaking Silent Hill 4, the one that is most in need of a remake, so I'm going to have to be happy with this.
Indeed.
Yeah. So literally all that we know is that it is in development. We have no idea on a time frame, but I don't know. They did a good job.
It'll probably be quicker. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I just was going to say that I look forward to watching you stream it, Kaye.
Yeah.
I imagine the timetable will be quicker than how long it took to do Silent Hill 2 remake, since I imagine they have all their tools like up in place. So.
That was kind of my thought too. Like this might not be very far out. Yeah, the reason I said like, oh, it's surprising is because Bloober Team had said like, oh, we're done with psychological horror stuff. So I don't know. I guess the 2 remake made enough money where it's like, well, I guess we got to do it now. Like it's an easy thing an easy home run teed up.
Right.
Yeah. Cool. How does everybody feel about bunting it up?
Buttons.
The credit.
Thank you so much, everybody, for listening to level number 547. We appreciate you taking the time. Please leave a rating or review or help spread the word. Retweet our announcement posts and stuff like that. We only have word of mouth to grow on. Jala, what's happening at Jala's place?
Shining Force 3. So the last episode was Shining Force 3, the penultimate episode. And then the next one is the final episode. So more Shining Force in the future.
And taking a break from assignment play for a little while, I think is what you said last week.
At least for like a few weeks.
Yeah.
I got to get back to some other stuff. I have stuff on the schedule I gotta get into.
Yeah.
I think the next video game that I will be doing on my show will be Lone Wolf Remastered, because I've talked about that game. I love that game. And I've even streamed that game once a long time ago. But anyway, I'm going to talk about it. So that will be an episode forthcoming in the future. And yes, we will broach the subject of the game books as well that those are based on. So
love that. Nice. Cool. And people can find that at jalachan.place. Yeah. I think that's just about everything. I have been Kaye Ross. You can find me on Blue Sky at Kaye.zone.
I'm Jala-chan in all the places that I may be found.
And I've been Ben Merkel.
And stick around for some titles. I don't have any titles either. I have one, so it's going to be it by default, but I like it a lot. Oh, okay. No, we can't whisper because that might actually be gated out. Yeah. I have looking at the scenery, screaming. Yeah.
Yay, I got one.
Yep. You got one, Jala. Any any objections to looking at the scenery screaming?
Nope.
Okay.
Gecko Gods looks like a promising title for that alone.
It is decided.